We have become so immune to the sight of working children that we hardly pay attention to the child who washes plates in a dhaba or works in a tea stall, or to the children working in a garage, or a boy selling fruits, or to the boy who wants to give your dusty shoe a shine. Have we ever asked ourselves where these children come from? Why do they come to the streets? Whether they like this kind of life, or are they forced to stay in these situations? If we go to any major city in India, we find that there are small children spending their time on the railway station, footpath, bus depot, or working in the midst of busy traffic. We call them street children. In the absence of adequate data, it is difficult to state the exact number of street children. According to the 1961 census, there were 6,586 children in the capital city of Delhi alone who were homeless and spent their nights on the pavements. This figure increased to 26,870 in 1981. This shows a four-fold increase in the number of street children in 20 years. According to a research study in 1992, it has been estimated that there are nearly 100,000 street children in Delhi. But how can we identify street children among working children? Street children can be identified on the basis of the availability of shelter to them and their level of contact with their families. The first category consists of children who live with their families on the public pavements or in juggi clusters. They have continuous family contact, though they work on the street. The second category consists of those children who spend all their days and nights on the streets and in public places. They are described as children on the street. It is the street that gives them shelter, food, and fosters a sense of belonging and companionship. A majority of them have no ties with their family. Sometimes they have only occasional contact. The third category comprises of those children of the streets who have no contact at all with their families. They include orphans, runaways, and refugees. This is the most crucial group as these children do not have any protection from society. They have been described as children of the street. child is pushed onto the street for many reasons. He seeks to run away from the hardships within the four walls of his house. He feels that in doing so, his freedom will deprive him of the warmth, care and security that the home provides. But how wrong he is. And this realization comes late, sometimes very late. While moving around New Delhi railway station, we found Manu, a runway from his home in Lucknow.
घर पे सब लोग मारते थे इसलिए हम चले आए घर से। यहाँ कहीं नहीं रहते, मांग के खा लेते किसी से भी। और ये है, इसको बिछा के सो जाता हूँ, इसको बिछा के सो जाता हूँ। यहाँ सो जाता हूँ।
Children who run away from home can be classified into two groups. The first category consists of children who run away from an unpleasant or traumatic home environment. They have family problems that they are unable to resolve. For example, alcoholism, child abuse, ill treatment by step-parents, unemployment, and poverty. The second category consists of children who also run away from home to taste the exciting experience of glamorized city life. On the street, the child is left with no choice but to take care of himself. This situation of survival, coupled with personalized needs, make the child vulnerable. In the process of coping with the hardships and trials for survival, overnight he becomes an independent adult.
मैं बिहार से हूँ, मेरा बोकारो में रहता हूँ। मेरा नाम मोहम्मद सलीम अख्तर है। मैं यहाँ रोजी रोटी की तलाश में आया हूँ। घर में एक प्रॉब्लम है, पारिवारिक समस्या है। दो छोटे छोटी बहनें हैं, फादर है, माँ सौतेली है और कुछ दुर्व्यवहार हमारे साथ कुछ अच्छा नहीं किया जाता। फादर का भी ध्यान हमारे तरफ नहीं है, इसलिए हमको फादर से पट्टा उठता नहीं है। इसीलिए कारण मैं जगह जगह बटा के सोचा कि मैं चलूँ दिल्ली में एक पेपर पर बेचता हूँ और कुछ मैगजीन के लिए बेचता हूँ। संध्या टाइम लिए वो बेच लेता हूँ, अपना किसी तरह भरण पोषण होता है जिंदगी का।
The Declaration of the World Summit for Children, held in September 1990 at New York, states, "The children of the world are the most innocent, vulnerable, and dependent. They are also the most important members of society. Their time should be one of joy and playing, of learning and growing. Their future should be shaped in harmony and cooperation. Their lives should mature as experiences are added. But for all too many children, the life they meet is of another nature."
Perhaps the problem of street children came in India pretty late compared to many other countries of the world, particularly the Latin American countries, where the street children, though besides being numerous, where they live in large numbers on the street, there the major problem of street children is a complete destitution and with no contact with the families. It is said that around 80% of street children in the cities of Latin America do not have any semblance of contact with their family or parents. Many of them do not know who the parents are. But in India, the problem is slightly different. The studies that have been undertaken show that most of the street children, almost 85% of those who work on the street, quite often return to their families in the slums. So they have more or less a regular contact with their families. Some of these kids have families in the villages, but these kids too, the studies indicate, also return to their families periodically during monsoons or hot summer, so they have a contact also with their families.
There are millions of children across the world who do not even enjoy the basic human rights. They have no childhood and no future. From a very tender age, they have to act like adults and contribute towards their family's income. But in spite of the hard work, most of the time they're not even able to secure 1 square meal a day. They are also the most vulnerable victims of malnutrition and diseases. Each minute while you're watching this program, some 18 children below the age of 5 are dying. Hunger is an invisible killer, silently taking its toll on humanity, particularly on infants and children. For this very reason, UNICEF views hunger as a silent emergency. 40,000 children across the globe die every day from this silent emergency. But how do these children survive on the street? Most of them work as paper hawkers, street vendors selling sundry items at public places, car washers, shoe shiners, and some work at the roadside dhabas. Others work as rag pickers in the areas surrounding the railway stations and at busy bus depots. Some are also engaged in begging and pickpocketing. The image we have of street children is that they are rogues and thieves. Are they really parasites? Do they help their families also? While we were shooting at the Interstate Bus Terminus, ISBT New Delhi, we talked to some of the children working as shoe shiners. The first boy was Ajay.
कहाँ से आते हो बोल रहे हैं?
सीमापुरी।
सीमापुरी से। वहाँ कौन कौन है आपके?
मेरा पापा है और मेरी बहन है, मेरा भाई है।
यहाँ काम क्यों करते हो?
मैं बाप के लिए काम करती हूँ।
पढ़ाई नहीं करते थे? क्यों?
क्यों, अपने बाप का सेवा करना चाहिए ना।
बाप की सेवा करते हैं। बाप क्या करते हैं?
बाप भी ये वाला काम करते हैं।
नहीं करते। आप पैसा कमाए घर में देते हो? कितना देते हो?
30-40 रुपए देते हैं।
Whatever the state of the Indian Republic, as it completes 5 decades of independence, there is no doubt that the majority of Indian children, especially the street children, are in distress despite 5 decades of policy planning, budget and administration.
The framework for action as far as the government is concerned is provided by the Juvenile Justice Act 1986, by the National Policy for Children and by the international, that is the UN Convention on Child Rights. Now within this there are program initiatives which are taken by different ministries of the Government of India as well as the state governments, and essentially program support is being provided by the government to local bodies, to NGOs, to educational institutions and to public spirited persons to establish different kinds of facilities to ensure that street children receive the attention they deserve, as well as to take care of their basic needs relating to shelter, clothing, education, recreation, healthcare, etc.
Salam Bombay, a dramatic film on street children made in May 1988, inspired many NGOs to discover the world of street children. One of them is the Salam Balak Trust. It identifies that one of the basic problems faced by street children is that of shelter. Today, the Salam Balak Trust provides various services including shelter to 5,000 children in Mumbai, Delhi and Bhubaneswar. In New Delhi, it provides support services to approximately 3,000 street children through its 9 centers located in and around the New Delhi railway station and the Paharganj area.
Salam Balak Trust was registered in about nearly 10 years ago in 1988, and the inspiration was from the film Salam Bombay, which was a film about the lives of the street children, and that film conveys that how much talent these children on the street have, and if given the opportunity they can really achieve good results and they can be off the streets. And that is how we started 10 years ago with a group of 25 to 30 boys at the New Delhi railway station. And now 10 years later we have 9 contact points in and around New Delhi railway station. We have a night shelter for younger boys whom we do not allow to work, and we try and motivate them to go to the schools, and they are with us and they are doing extremely well in school.
The common features of the programs of the Salam Balak Trust are that they provide shelter, medical services, counseling, formal and non-formal education, vocational training, recreation, and a saving scheme for the street children.
There is also a saving scheme. These boys at the railway station, some of them earn as much as 150 to 200 rupees a day. But what they do is that they work for 3 to 4 days and then just blow it up in totally, they see 3 movies in a day, they go and eat 2-3 fantastic big meals in a good restaurant, and then they also get into drugs if that is the company they are in. So we try and motivate them to save money. We have now started a passbook which is kept with the Salam Balak Trust, not in a bank, because what they do is they give you 50 rupees now and an hour later they would want 20 rupees back. And if you don't give it back to them, then they lose faith in you. So we started a passbook system with them. that whenever they deposit the money, it is entered. Whenever they withdraw the money, it is entered. And by the end of the month, if they have 100 rupees, we give them an incentive of 10 rupees.
Health is another very important issue in childcare. Without good health, life does not hold much meaning. Specifically, street children should be prevented from drug abuse and diseases like AIDS. Street children are vulnerable on the streets. Many times they face health problems and they want to share their emotions with somebody who will give them a patient hearing. Childline is one such project initiated by the Tata Institute of Social Sciences at Mumbai City and now extended to Delhi City with the help of a few NGOs and the sponsorship of the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment.
Childline is a toll-free number. It's a phone line service for children in distress, especially street children. It was initially started by Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and it was an experimental project in Bombay for 2 years. After it was successful, Jeru Moria, the brain behind this service, contacted ministry and she proposed that let's make it a nationwide program. And as a part of that, Delhi was the second city to become functional with this service. And it is a 4-digit number, as I said earlier. 1098 is a 1098. This was also suggested by street children themselves because it's very easy to remember. It's 8, 9, 10 in the reverse order. So Childline is the service for children in distress. It's a free phone line service. As in when any street child feels like talking to somebody or is in need of some help, he calls up at this number 1098. Depending upon his need, they might be for basic things like food or shelter to a very long-term hospitalization or medical attention. We provide whole range of services that is based on child's need at that particular hour.
Unless illiteracy is eradicated, none of our problems can be solved. With education comes awareness and awakening to do better in life, to rise out of the darkness into light. And without proper education, the joys of a beautiful childhood are denied to the children. In the world scenario, out of the 100 million children of school age, 60% of them are girls and they have never stepped inside a classroom.
Our objective is to provide facilities to the disprivileged and especially children. We would like to work with children because they are our future, they are nation's future. So we would like to work for them. And these children who are destitute and completely deprived, they are abandoned and orphaned children. So we are trying to take those children under our wing and look after them. You see, what we started was with a dream of setting up homes in different localities of Delhi. And in each locality, we would like to have a small setup where we have about 10 children under the supervision of that particular locality, so that the locality also kind of gets, involved in the bringing up of these children. So what we are really hoping is to bring about some kind of an attitudinal change in society. So society looks after these children and children in turn become responsible for society. So we have been able to set up 2 homes and now the 3rd home will be set up very soon.
Children are basically very curious and want to learn about the world around them, especially with modern technologies such as computers. But there is a scarcity of resources. On a smaller scale, we too can do our best to help the street children.
We are giving them a home
where they can feel, like any normal home where children, they grow with the homely atmosphere. They go to school, they learn music, they learn computers, they eat, they sing, like just a home for these children.
Today's children will be the future of tomorrow's world. But what if these children themselves have a bleak future? What if they are illiterate and ignorant about any kind of opportunity? Then what does their future hold for them? Or rather, what future do they hold for the world? But still, there is a hope. If we are determined to do something, we can do it. We can give these children their due importance and help them find their place in society. In fact, we should learn from these children. Let them be our source of inspiration.
हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे